Oh, that's beautiful. Uh, that that pause is so important.
Mhm.
And there's something about the space between, and I guess you
Mhm.
guys have used that term before. The space between is rich with possibilities. That's
Right.
why nothing, the richness of nothingness, of apparent
Yeah.
emptiness, is
Hmm.
that's where stuff comes out, and
Right.
your story illustrates that. It's also illustrated by transitions, major life changes are also times of pause. And in those pausing of moving from this to that, a lot more synchronicities take place.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Infinite Wisdom Experience. And I'm going to ask you a question right now. It's like, have you ever experienced a coincidence that's so profound, so perfectly timed? It felt like the universe was trying to tell you something? Well, our guest today has dedicated a distinguished career to
Thank
unraveling
you.
these very, very amazing mysteries, moving from the established corridors of academic psychiatry to the fascinating frontiers of synchronicity. And we're thrilled to have back for the third time Dr. Bernard Beitman. He's a graduate from the Yale Medical School with his psychiatric residency at Stanford and has served as the esteemed chair of psychiatry at the University of Missouri Columbia for 17 years. And he's the co-author of the award-winning book Learning Psychotherapy, and a text that shaped the generation of psychiatrists. And many of you may know his insightful blog on coincidence for psychology today. But it's his pioneer work in the realm of meaningful coincidences, synchronicity, serendipity, whatever you want to call it, building on the foundations laid by Carl Jung. That it brings him to us with a ton of anticipation because we're so familiar with his work on the Coincidence Project and his own life's trajectory from becoming a world leader in the study of chest pain and panic disorder to his current deep dive in coincidence research. Bernie, thank you so much for coming back to us.
A pleasure to be back with you, Ross. It really is. So thank you for that intro.
We were just tickled to death to see that you've got a book that's out now, and we told you back was about maybe a year ago, like when the book comes out, get with us because we want to be part of that experience with you, my friend. So let's just jump into it because you said something before we started about what the book does to its readers, that it's a mirror of their own experiences. Let's just jump right into that.
Yes, thank you. The book is kind of a biography, autobiography of me. It is a biography of me told through coincidences, starting from when I was pretty young to like a couple of years ago. It's still going on. I've had lots of coincidences in my life, and I've been able to remember them because they're so weird and interesting and be able to study them. And I just wanted to write them down. Jung had written a book, uh, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections at the latter part of his life that was a review of his own experiences with strange events and strange thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to do something like that because there are very few psychiatrists who are paying attention to meaningful coincidences. Jung tried to categorize them. I did in my last book, Meaningful Coincidences. And now this is to be able to get to the reader. So what
Mm.
I'm looking for and hoping, because I've just found out that when people read this book, they see their own synchronicities reflected in it. These are life-changing synchronicities for me, but they also may reflect life-changing synchronicities for the reader. And what it seems to do for people who read this book is confirm that their experiences are not so strange. And that's part of what I'm doing with studying meaningful coincidences, is trying to confirm, hey, baby, this stuff happens all the time. This is all around you. Just pay attention.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Ross and I talk about synchronicity in a lot of our stuff as well. And I think you hit it on the head there. I think one of the key variables for synchronicity is um, building and developing the awareness that they are happening all the time and in different ways. And but if we don't open up the reticular activating system to look for that red car, we're never going to see it, right? And so I think that that's such an important variable, which is missed by a lot of people. It's like, well, synchronicity doesn't happen. Well, it's because you haven't opened up that part of your mind to look for it.
Right, right. A lot of people ask, well, what causes synchronicities? Now, Jung used the term synchronicity to mean a causal connecting principle. It was
Mhm.
something beyond cause.
Yeah.
Well, he did get around every once in a while to say you have to see it first. The primary cause is your mind. And if
Right.
you're not willing to see it, it's not there.
Hmm. So how do you help people to get to that point of starting to see and become aware of it? Because what we do is we teach people to just look for different patterns and start to notice patterns and build up their pattern detection skill sets.
You got it. It's pattern detection is fundamental. I don't get to be able to say that often, um, but we're pattern detectors. These brains of ours are made to find patterns. What's a pattern? Well, original the def the word pattern comes from the Latin patron, Patron, which means father. So the pattern is generated by a fundamental pattern underneath it. It's kind of like the prime pattern creates more patterns. They're all
Mm.
variations on the theme. So some of us love. Now, Gary, you just gave yourself away. You like looking for patterns too. I mean, and Ross is smiling now too. So, I mean, it's really fun. It's fun. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. Look at
Mhm.
what that connects with this. Sometimes it's just words that connect. Sometimes it's something more profound. You
Yeah.
got to see the
Hmm.
pattern in order to have a coincidence. Because what's a coincidence? This event comes into your vision or your experience. This event comes in, this incident, and they coincide. And as they coincide, you may wonder how they came together because the idea of a coincidence is you can't explain how they came together. And
Hmm.
so you have to see this pattern matches this pattern in order to even ask the question about what's the meaning of this.
So then there's people out there that are saying, well, it's just things that happen, right? So, the can you talk about, again, we talk about this too, but can you talk about from your perspective, what do you see as a meaningful coincidence? Because I think that there's some people say, because when we talk about it, people say, well, you could meaning in anything. You're absolutely right, you can. So it's either meaning that's extracted from that coincident or meaning that's injected into it. Either one, it doesn't matter if it's serving your life.
Or meaning that's there, as some people will say
Which
also.
is what you would extract, right? So the meaning there is
Oh,
you
that's
get it
what
and
you
you
mean. Yes.
extract that,
You
whereas
extract
meaning
the meaning.
injected is when, I think this
Right.
means that, if it supports and aligns with your life. It's like my daughter called me the other day and she was like, oh my God, Dad, the 999 keeps showing up, and I'm like, why is it happening? And this stuff was going on, and then all of a sudden I saw this car, and it had the first three letters of my name and then 999 on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so what does that mean for you, right? And so I'm getting her to find out, and her own. Because I could give her my own perception, but then that's me injecting it in, whereas she can extract it
Right.
for herself, right?
Oh, that's right. They're like dreams.
Yeah.
Um, that as Jung and Freud would do is ask the person to respond to what the dream symbol might mean. I mean, a lot of people say, well, this is what a dream symbol means. It's not a good idea because your mind has created it,
Yeah.
and therefore it's a part of your mind being reflected in a way you can see it.
Yeah.
And is it like last night I had a dream that this bug bite I have, could be a tick bite. And you know,
Hmm.
tick bites are like you see a target, a bullseye around where the bite is. And I've got kind of a half of a bullseye, but kind of, but the other half isn't there. So the dermatologist said just wait a couple of days. But
It's
I
half a
dreamt
tick.
last, pardon?
Really, half a tick, half a bite. He took a bite,
It was,
he just didn't
it
like
was a
it.
snack. It was a snack.
It might have been just a snack. Well, it's what it's got in it that it injects that's the problem,
Exactly.
rather than what the piece of me it takes out of me.
Yeah.
So, so I had a dream last night that it was a Lyme disease tick bite. I mean,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
had that dream, and
Hmm.
then so that's why I contacted dermatologist today. And it's kind of a half of a bullseye. It says wait, but I had some extra pills hanging around in my little pharmacy at home, and I started taking the pills that you're supposed to take. I think if you get it earlier, you don't have to take the pills for so very long.
Sure.
Um, so I've started to do that because of the dream. Uh, so sometimes the dreams
Hmm.
are instructive.
Right.
Sometimes they tell you a reality, and I don't know if it's really true. I'm going to have to find out. I dreamt last night that that Berlin was blowing up.
Hmm.
Um, my son and his family is in Berlin, so I'm going to
Hmm.
contact him and say, "How are things?" Uh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
how you interpret is up to you, but
Absolutely,
it's
because metaphorical, I mean, blowing up could be a whole bunch. I mean, so ambiguous, right? It could be so many different
so
representations
many
of that.
different things.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's why I'm going
yeah,
to ask him because there we have two meanings. I can make a meaning out of the possible bullseye,
yeah.
yes or no. But this
Hmm.
one, he has to be able to inform me about it. I just may be detecting something
Yeah,
that's not clear to me. Now,
yeah.
the same is true of the 999 and your daughter's three. So you ask her.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, Gary, what is, what do you mean by meaning?
The definition we give to something.
Well, I'll say it's a dream, or it's the description is what it is. So it's just a definition could be on the license plate I saw these three numbers and part of my name. That's a definition.
Correct. Yeah. And if it has no meaning behind it, then it's just that,
Well,
right?
where's the meaning?
So
Where, what do you mean by meaning?
the the relevance to me
Thank you.
um, and the coincident of that experience.
It's the relevance of you is a primary
Oh,
Right.
100%.
fundamental meaning. The
100%. Yeah.
meaning to you, Gary, it could be a message to you too, but it's a meaning to your daughters where it starts.
Yeah.
So the
And then her
per
bringing it to me. Oh, I totally saw that too. Her bringing it to me at the time she did, that there was a layered, a multi-layered synchronicity that happened in that as well.
well, that's those are the fun ones, really, because you've got to get into
Mhm.
some of those details because that's part of the association. So when you ask yourself and your daughter, because it's now becoming a shared coincidence in that she told you about it, so
Mhm.
she's
Hmm.
including you in it.
Yeah.
And parenthetically, I'm very interested in shared coincidences bec- because and
Hmm.
this is a little different, but if this two people experience the same coincidence together, then it has meaning for each of them about their relationship. But your daughter telling you, it also has meaning to you and your relationship to her. And as happened to me not too long ago, a
Hmm.
friend of mine had a dream, and she told me about the dream. And she told me about the dream because she thought it might be relevant to an interpersonal problem I was having at that time.
Got it. Yeah.
So what you thought about, you see what I'm saying, I hope
Hmm.
you're part
Yep.
of it. You're part of it.
Yeah.
So we can go into that, or we can continue to talk about meaning a little bit more. You tell
So,
me.
so would we actually define that as a coincidence?
Which one? Mine with the dream?
Whenever like Gary's situation or yours with the dream where somebody else has now become involved, now you have a collaboration of coincidences.
Yes, and
Hmm.
coincidence is a great name for it. I just call them shared coincidences, um,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll come up with better names for them. But it's something that happens, and part of what I've realized in my book is that I have shared coincidences with people, and on my own podcast, I interviewed my best friend from high school
Hmm.
about a shared coincidence that led to our lifelong friendship because we didn't know each other before this thing happened.
Sure.
Uh,
Okay.
he, it, we have influenced each other as a result of this. So I
Hmm.
got to hear his side of it, and he got to hear my side of it more. And all that does is strengthen your relationship, as Gary does strengthen his relationship with his daughter when they talk about it together.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, would some people refer to this as karma?
Well, now you're getting to the second major meaning of coincidence,
Okay.
which is what made this happen, man? What, 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 what's
Mhm.
going on here? What does this tell me about the way reality works? Which is why I'm so interested in coincidences. I like the personal meaning.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's very important. And so it's kind of sometimes psychotherapy by synchronicity because they can help you develop in many different ways psychologically. Serendipity can help you in your life challenges, work, medical problems, financial. They're both meaningful coincidences, synchronicity and serendipity. So they're very useful.
Hmm.
And as I say that, I want to be cautious that in my previous book, Meaningful Coincidences, they're not always great for you. They're problems. So I want to be able to say that they are not commands to you to do something, which they seem like sometimes. They are suggestions. But when you ask about karma, you say, well, what's karma? Does that mean fate, or is it something that I did that in a
Right.
past life that is making this happen now? Well, those are questions about how reality works. And
Hmm.
what I've learned with some bitter experiences, that people have their own ideas about how this stuff works. Uh, they have their own ontologies, our own beliefs about how reality works. So you got on the one hand, you got to say God did it, so there are no coincidences. Again, because if you
Hmm.
have an explanation, then there's no coincidence. And the other
Yeah.
guys say, well, it's all random. Again, there's an explanation if you want to take it, and there's no coincidences. So when you hear there are no coincidences, the person has a cause, an explanation for each one. But I don't know. What do
Hmm.
you guys think of make these things happen?
Well, I think, I mean, I I believe that the most profound part of a coincidence is the pause. That moment that you take and you stop to think about these two interactions, the where these have come to a point where you say, what does this mean to me? But you literally pause your life. You absolutely go right into the now. It's like, what is this meaning to me right now? And
It-
and because we are so wrapped up in our lives in the rush and the rush that at some point, when you start to learn to identify these patterns and see them and recognize them and such, then you like, well, that's interesting. I wonder what or if there is a meaning to this, or is it just randomness? And there's many times, and Gary and I have told you our stories in the past of how the two of us came together, and it was a series of coincidences that just kept nudging us in one direction to another. Says, and to a point where finally it's just seemed like the universe says, damn it, I need you guys to connect, and just kind of pushed us into the same room. Um, but anyhow, but again, I see things like there was something that happened to me just a couple of days ago, and this is where it kind of hit me. I'm just like, I was having just a day. That's the best way I'm going to put it. I was just like, oh, it was just like one of those days. And then something had happened earlier in the day, and then something had happened later in the day, and they coincided, and it just caused me to pause and forget about the stress and the strain that I was going through. And I'm just like, this is really nice because it was a 2 minutes of just reset. It's like, okay, let me just get back into who I am, what I mean, why am I here on this planet? And I never saw any meaning between the two, except for the fact that that was the meaning that it caused me to pause and reset myself for the day.
Oh, that's beautiful. Uh, that pause is so important.
Mhm.
And there's something about the space between, and I guess you guys have used that term before. The space between is rich with possibilities. That's
Right.
why nothing, the richness of nothingness, of apparent
Yeah.
emptiness, is
Hmm.
that's where stuff comes out, and
Right.
your story illustrates that. It's also illustrated by transitions, major life changes are also times of pause. And in those pausing of moving from this to that, a lot more synchronicities take place. Again, for the
Yeah,
same
it's
reason.
so again, we see them as portals, right? So it's like so we live in moments of now. That we can't deny that's just the way we are, right? We live in moments of now. And as you eloquently said, the space between. So it's a space between the moments of now where these things occur, where there's signs, there's symbols, there's events, there's circumstances that bring into awareness that a union of at least two realities are at play for the purpose for the purpose of the observer, because there's the awareness part of it, the observer who extracts or injects meaning into it for personal, spiritual, or global evolution.
You want to talk about global evolution and synchronicity here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go
I
down
mean,
another rabbit hole.
well, you just opened the trap door to that wet rabbit hole. You just opened it up. Uh, it, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is in bad shape right now. Um, there's
Yeah.
a lot of chaos going on. And in the midst of chaos, uncertainty in individual lives, synchronicities tend to appear. They're also appearing much more often now, I think, in our reality, in this
Mm-hmm.
earth life right now, as people are looking around for meaning. What's going
Mm-hmm.
on with us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Open up RAS is opening up for meaning. Yeah.
yeah. So I ask you, have you been tuned in to any global synchronicities? And if you have, what have you seen?
Um, I I mean I don't really, not that I mean I try to stay away from a lot of the global hype of rap and stuff like that. So I can't say that that's a pattern that I put a lot of attention and awareness on. What about you, Ross?
Um, Interestingly enough, I see a lot of the interactions across the globe. I haven't used the term synchronicity for them
Hmm.
as much as a series of cascading events. Um, but or almost a series of dominoes where one thing happens, then another one thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens. So that's actually a really good question. I need to ponder on just a little bit because I haven't
Well,
seen them as synchronicities by my definition.
what's your definition?
Well, again, is two converging, two totally opposite, not opposite, but two independent events happening in my life that converge at one point. On a global scale is where I was talking about. On a global scale, again, I see things more as um, I see different types of patterns, but I don't see them as synchronicities at this point. Give me an example of what you would think of would be a global synchronicity.
Well, let's blame Gary for all this because it sneaked into you somehow, and that's your intuition operating. Uh, and I wasn't expecting that. I was going to stay with individuals and meaning, but we are a global humanity. I call us the collective human organism.
Sure, the
Absolutely.
Gaia mind. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, Gaia, it's part of all this, but well, let's stay away from that for a minute. But it's an important part of what I'm thinking about
Mm.
now. Gaia, noosphere, and what I call
Hmm.
the psychosphere or mental atmosphere. These are all part
Hmm.
of what I'm trying to understand better. So
Hmm.
we are human. You are humanity. We are the global human organism with a global mind, and
Hmm.
like it or not, AI is a reflection of the global mind.
Interesting.
It's
I thought you were going to go that direction. Interesting. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear what you're saying because again, and it's really, I mean, you bringing the um, synchronicity from a global perspective as opposed to a personal perspective. I know I mentioned it, but it's more of the I saw it as the personal experience triggering a global evolution as we all collectively do that. But to see global synchronicities as me just now, as you even just as you're
Right.
talking, I'm like, okay, that
Yeah.
makes a little sense. So continue with that, Bernie, about the AI and stuff like that.
well, I'm glad you say personal synchronicities can increase the synchronicity awareness in the global
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Very much.
And, and just our conversation and other people conversation, I hope my books and who knows how much are will create ripples in the
Mm-hmm.
global mind to
Hmm.
increase awareness of meaningful coincidence. It's my passion. I also call it my job to be able to do this and get this to happen. So individually, yes, we do have a impact individually, but we have more impact when we're doing something together. I couldn't make touchdowns, as I write in my book, Life Changing Synchronicities, without those guys blocking for me.
Right.
It's a team thing. So the more we do this together, as we're doing now and jamming kind of in coincidence band right now, we just go for it. Uh, so that helps. But now let's take your thinking up into looking at the global mind, well, and synchronicities. And let's start with your bit of consciousness. Each of you, and I know this well from just talking with you, has an active self observer, meaning that each of you enjoy looking at your own minds and seeing what's going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
Yeah.
it's fun. It's interesting. It's a form of play, and it's a
Yeah.
form of like getting out of trouble
Probably more than
sometimes
most people
too.
think.
It's something to
Well,
do.
Yeah.
something to. It's true. Something to do, something that we better do more of is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Uh, we need to increase human capacities to observe their own minds. It's necessary fundamentally for the future of humanity. We've got to be able to know what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what our bodies are saying to us, what intuition, what Gaia is saying
100%.
to us,
Yeah, yeah.
all
Right,
that.
right.
It's coming into us. So I'm suggesting that we develop a collective self-observer,
Hmm.
that we aggregate your ability to self-observe with others. So we become a collective of self-observers of the collective human mind.
Okay.
So then, if we get to that place of looking at the global human mind in action, and we recognize that synchronicity is usually a, a connection between an external event, an objective event, and an internal event or mental event. So mind and object have a parallel similarity to each other. Not exactly the same, but similar enough so that your similarity detector, and that's another pattern thing,
Hmm.
recognizing similarities to see the
Or
patterns
differences. Yeah.
and differences. Well, synchronicity is about similarities.
Hmm.
It's important to know the differences too, but it starts with similarities. So if we look around at global mind, do we find any situations in which the global subjective experience, the internal experience, parallels an objective or external experience of the global human mind? So there's a one that stands out for all of us to see. We call it COVID-19.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
and COVID-19 was a nasty little bug. And who knows where it originated? A lot of people argue about where it originated, animals, a laboratory. It doesn't matter. It happened. I mean, it does matter,
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
happened. And
Correct.
what was that virus doing when it first came out? It's didn't care whether it was destroying its host. It killed people.
Right.
It was really malicious.
Very much.
Really malicious. Not so bad anymore. People have it and it goes away, but it started to kill people, particularly old people, but younger people and people in between too. It was a
Hmm.
murderous thing. It destroyed its host.
Hmm.
Well, if we step back and look from the collective human organism's collective self-observer, we see that humanity is like a virus on Earth.
Hmm.
We are
Yep.
destroying our planet. We are destroying our host. We are guests here on this planet,
Sure.
and we are destroying what we are living on, just as the COVID-19 virus was doing it to its hosts. That was a profound, I thought, global synchronicity. What happened is we all slowed down, CO2 emissions went down.
Hmm.
The Earth started like recovering from what we've been doing. So we got a hint about what we needed to do, but then we went back to doing the same
Yeah.
things.
We had our pause.
We had our pause. Thank you.
Had our pause. Okay. I, I, s- I see where you're going with that thinking, but I'm not putting them together as synchronicities per se. Um, I see the relevance. I see that as I've always thought that we are, and maybe this came from the movie The Matrix, that we are a virus that is is
Yeah.
literally destroying our host, the planet. Although we're not actually destroying the planet, we are actually destroying the planet's ability to host us any further. The planet will always survive. We can't destroy, even if we had a nuclear war, we would not destroy the planet. We would destroy the environment of the planet that which makes it beneficial for us. Okay. A cockroach is going to survive a nuclear war, probably thrive on it. So it's just like it's just going to shrug and go, did something happen? Because everything works the same for me. So it's from our perception that we are killing the planet, or destroying the planet, but we're not. We're actually changing it to where it will no longer be sustainable for the human organism, but many, many other organisms will thrive.
Well, you're just saying what I should have said. That's all.
And
You know,
to kind of
but
ride on that too, because
but then we can take that and we can actually compare that to COVID, because you're right, COVID did kill many, many people. Okay. And the ones that it didn't, it did change them. I was just listening to an interview with a doctor from England this morning, is that where, people who had it or had the jab and such, they're biologically have changed, and probably permanently. No one really knows that at this particular point. So yeah, I mean, the virus itself, if it didn't kill you, it changed you. The cure that we thought we came up with, if it didn't, if it didn't save you, it changed you.
so
So
just to
there
kind
are
of go back,
similarities there.
yeah, to go back a little bit on what you said, because for me, Bernie, I'll just share a story. So I want to say it was probably back in 1989. I was introduced to, I was doing a lot of work with the subconscious mind and the potential of subliminals and all kinds of different things like that. And one of the things I came across at that time was, I don't know if you've ever seen it. Peter Russell did a video called The Global Brain. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So you should look it up. It's on YouTube. The Global Brain, Peter Russell. And one of the things that caught my attention back then was how he would show an aerial view of the planet, and he would show side by side the image pattern of a cancer cell, and then the image layout of like the slums, and how the cell it was like you're looking at the same thing, just one is buildings and one is actually the cell. And it's such a wild like realization of how we as humans are, like you said, on this planet, these viruses, or so we're either healing the planet or we're damaging it. So and you can see these patterns, but I never really thought of it in the spectrum of a synchronicity. So that's kind of a cool shit. But I have
Mhm.
seen patterns, like Ross said, can see the patterns of things going on. um so yeah, so again, for you as well as the audience, you haven't seen it, the Global Brain, Peter Russell, give Peter Russell a little bit, a viewing boost, because that video's been around a long time.
Isn't that a synchronicity when you see two things that are similar from
Oh,
different
100%.
perspectives? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. So that was going to be my next question, was is that how we would define it on a global term?
I don't know about define, but those would be examples. I think
Okay.
there are
Hmm.
going to be
Okay.
variations on global synchronicities, uh,
Hmm.
different versions of them.
Right.
So, yeah, but it's a version. Definitely. It's a beautiful one. It's ugly, but it's what I'm talking about. So Peter Russell and the global brain and cancer here, cancer there. I mean, that's great. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
He's the whole video is like, it's like 20-25 minutes, 30 minutes or so. It's just really mind-blowing type stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's pictures, man. That stuff works when you do
Hmm.
pictures. So
Yeah.
that Peter Russell in doing that was taking the position of the collective self-observer and
100%,
looking at the global
100%.
mind.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the video is called The Global Brain for that reason. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But
Well,
but if this is his book or his video, Peter Russell's and such, and he noticed it, but how is it a collective synchronicity of a global mind? He saw it and he put it all together and such because it was the pattern that he recognized between the two. But how does that fall into the definition of the global mind?
Gary?
I thought Ross was asking you. I'm not sure. Again, I'm only just now getting my mind to shift into the perspective of global synchronicities as opposed to just
Yeah.
patterns that I'm aware
Mm,
of.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know how to. The reason I asked Gary
Mm,
Ross is that I don't know how to answer that question because for me, uh, if you get two patterns that appear to be connected in ways we can't explain, and
hmm
you
Hmm.
see them together from a
hmm
globe from your own self-observer, or in this
Sure.
case, the collective self-observer, that that's by my definition anyway of synchronicity is that's the synchronicity. That is a
Okay.
meaningful coincidence. That I can't do any better than that.
Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
Well,
I
I'd be interested.
and we're not
Well, so here's the thing,
we're not
Ross.
challenging your idea. We're really I can see Gary's head just we're gonna probably be talking about this for hours after this interview. We're going, this is really interesting. This is a challenging thought, which is
Well,
ideal. This is
Well,
the
I
type
think
of
that, so
thinking that we
let's
want
take
to
this. Let's
increase
take
with
this then. So the video, or his book, Peter's book, um, is going to go out and reach certain people, and when they come across it, or this video, this interview, it then gets them a part of that collective brain. Is that how you see it? Because then now it's like, oh, okay, well, what part of that has meaning to me, and how can I contribute that? So for me, when I saw the video, I was like, holy cow! So that means us as human beings on the planet, me being one of them. If I'm environmentally not being conscious of what I'm doing, that I'm creating that cancer cell,
yeah,
right? So
you
I
are the
took that
cancer
meaning and
cell.
put that on. So again, to take this so then now those that are now gonna go and watch Peter's or get his book, and then get this perspective that for them it may be another image in that video that resonates with them and creates that synchronous moment. Will go, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, there's that's something that now impacts me and has meaning, has reference and relevance to me, so that I can now do something about it. And I have
yeah,
choices. I have choice to ignore it and say, "Oh, it's just nothing," or I have choice. Oh man, that means what does that mean for me now? Now that I understand that, and to take this to the next level of action or inaction.
yeah, yeah. And let's comment on that one because I'm not just talking about observing
Hmm.
and seeing
Sure, neither are
these
we. Yeah.
things. I, I'm talking about the need to create a new narrative
hmm
for
What do you
humanity.
do with it? Yeah. What do you do with it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We that's once you see the meaning for me, as Gary's saying, that I'm contributing somehow and maybe I can do something about it, then you'll be able to join with others or not. And
hmm
then you'll be able to see that we are part of something greater, which is what's so important in all this.
Hmm.
Yes.
Synchronicity
Yeah.
illustrates or demonstrates or illuminates the hidden currents, the invisible currents that connect and unite us. So if I look at it and you look at it and we look at it, then we see hey, baby, we're in this together. And so
Hmm.
we're in this together, and that's not the way we currently see our reality on this earth. We have too many people who say, it's all for me and I don't care about you. It's just what I want. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you want, but whoever you are, you are part of this disease process. And are you going to take them that meaning and start contributing?
Hmm.
And
This,
let me take this just a little further, just to see what you guys do with it.
sure.
Just say that we start thinking the way I just was trying to say.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We need to create a new narrative, and I call it a new movie
Yeah.
because we think in visual terms. That's what we do, most of us.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Think in visual terms. I do a lot of kinesthetic feeling, movement thinking, and I do emotional thinking, feeling. But most of us go into the theater of our own mind and watch the movie that we think we're the stars of most of the time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, the collective human organism does the same thing. It's got movies, it's running. And so I'm trying to be able to describe those movies that we have running now.
Hmm.
We need to change those movies. And the biggest part of this, which you guys are helping with, is we need a new idea about how reality works. We cannot
Well,
stay with
And they have to
materialism
have different
as
yeah.
perspectives of that, right? It's the different perspectives element. Yeah.
So,
So what you just did for me, so you explained for you so Ross and I have this thing called seeing through the eight eyes of the soul, where we take people through this experience of being aware, like your levels of awareness, right? So you have levels of awareness of self, which is the first level of perception. I can see things from me, right? What
yeah,
else?
yeah,
Like that's the
yeah.
first level. But then we can go to the next one is that there's perception of from the other person. I can now have your perspective on what's going on, right? And then there's a perspective of, well, there's also a perspective of neither of you us, where there's someone out there. I can have an awareness that there's someone out there who has no understanding or collect or recollection or awareness or want to have understanding of our experience. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
so there's these different levels, and then there's the collective where it's all three of us have this, so our tribe, right, because we have this common mind, it's called the collective perspective. And then there's the universe perspective, which takes it now just from us little tiny dot in the universe called earth. Now it's the universe, so now we're saying how does that impact all of that. So what you did for me was you took it from self and another, and you bumped it out to me for a collective and universal synchronicities, which is a really cool shift. So thank you for that. I mean, I hadn't.
yeah.
It's a really cool shift.
Yeah, this reminds me of the work that the astronaut Edgar Mitchell was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that? Where he was in space. He was
Yeah.
10,000 miles away looking back on the Earth and
We are
just
all
had
one.
this,
Yeah.
had this epiphany that, yeah, he didn't see the borders. He didn't see the different colors of skin. He didn't see the different cultures. He just saw one small little blue marble floating in space and just went, that's all there is. And how can we
Yeah.
be sitting on that marble fighting with each other when it's just sitting there and it's so beautiful?
He didn't
Um,
see the ruler lines drawing borders.
exactly, right. Um, and it was a great epiphany for him. Um, I think the issue that he had was one, um, he was in an environment of pure science. So he had such a hard time expressing what he was thinking and what he saw and such. And there was a few people. I mean, he did amass a little bit of a following. I think if he were alive today with today's technology, things would be a lot different. Because as what you just said is that he saw it, he experienced it, and then he felt it. And where he saw is like, we are just one. We're just one mass, as Gary said, tribe on a blue marble sitting in space.
As one perspective, because then there's perspective
As
of
one.
Beyond that,
Exactly.
now it's
Right.
you've got universe, but then there's the spiritual part of that. It's not a part of this, but something that's ethereal. It's like it's inclusive of all of that. And then there's the all of all that is me. And then there's the okay, well then I'm also none of that and could be something else completely, and I'm open for that too.
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, the
This is
different
fascinating,
levels.
Bernie. This is just fascinating. We are just like, I love this.
This happens every time you get on, so it's like
You know, it's so
We're
important
jamming. We're
because
jamming.
people
yeah.
do need to see the bigger picture, not that just little thing that they see on their screen. They need to see it, experience it, interact with it, and understand the understand beyond the limitations that society has put us on as far as interacting with other cultures, other citizens, other countries, other races, other, I mean, and it goes on and on and on because there's so many different categories. We have a thing for creating these categories for everyone. And now our belief systems are put into categories for, and subsets of those categories. And everything, what I see is that it, it's that exponential divide of belief systems that's happening now in society, and primarily because of social media and things like that, and the wrong people using it. But you see all this exponential expansion of all these little subcategories. Well, this is just right for me, and 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 those are separating people more and more. So going back to your first question of what do I see on a global scale now that I'm viewing synchronicities differently, that would be the primary one. Because we are no
Hey,
longer separated by borders like we used to be. We're now separated by our thoughts.
yeah. Um, the global collective self-observer, Edgar Mitchell, was assuming that role.
Mhm.
Mm.
He was a collective, and he was a representative of the collective self-observer. He saw that. And you're
Yes.
doing the same thing now, Ross, in saying, I'm seeing all this fracturing of humanity when we're really all part of the same thing. And that's a problem. And we need to address that fracturing. And what I'm trying to do is describe as efficiently as possible. And this is what's difficult because it's kind of like hard to do this whole
Mhm.
Well,
thing.
it's
Uh,
not difficult, Bernie, because you're not trying to do it. You are doing it because you just did it with the two of us. And we thought we're pretty open thinkers. And you just blew our minds. So you are doing it. You're not even trying.
oh, I'm
We're just
trying,
little,
man.
we're
I'm
just two
trying.
cogs in we're just two cogs in your wheel trying to make this
Well,
work better.
thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to hear you being able to hear what I'm saying and that it makes sense to you in a not just cognitive but emotional way. So
Mhm.
uh, thank you
Because
for
we're not
that.
emotional about this topic at all.
No, no.
Uh, I'll leave our audience to decide that one. All right.
Yeah, I'm being facetious. Obviously, they can
I
hear it
know
in our
you
voices. Yeah.
are. Oh, you're passionate about it, and so am I. And you want to help. Each of you
Hmm.
is trying to help
Yeah.
somehow. And we need more of you who are able to observe, as Ross just described, and Gary, you're doing more of now, of what's what is the global human mind doing? And
Hmm.
what Ross just said is like it divides stuff up a lot. And we need to stop doing that. We need to create a
Yeah.
new way of thinking about ourselves that
Hmm.
Right,
is based on we're all in this together.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. I mean, it's very prevalent. It's been around for centuries.
Oh yeah.
It seems to be part of our human condition. Why?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's part of our pattern thing.
Mhm.
New sciences start with describing categories. I mean, it's very useful
Mhm.
to describe categories.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's funny how a Western mind with Linnaeus did put categories into how things looked, what their morphology was. But in India, they categorized by what things did rather than,
Interesting.
which I like better than
Hmm.
this. But they're both useful. What
Hmm.
it does and what it looks like, they're part of the same thing. They're not separate. So
Mhm.
we do categories because it's a useful way of going through the world. Synchronicity is patterns, and those are categories that become relevant to us. However, we can overdo everything, and we do. And my one of my favorite concepts, as I try to talk about the global human mind and what we need, how we need to think, is the bell-shaped curve, is the normal curve. You can do no categorizing. Oh, it's all one and it's just the same, and we're all part of the same thing, and then just kind of it'll all work out as because along with that, don't worry about it. Says government, and at the other end, there's those who over categorize. In between are balances between, yeah, it's all one, but we still have these categories that we need to be able to develop about, and I'm saying the future of the collective human organism. What's the movie that we want to create for ourselves as a collective species, for Homo sapiens? What's the movie we want? And there's a lot of like paradise on earth ideas, but I I leave this one to you. I'm a psychiatrist. I've written about psychotherapy. I have trouble with interpersonal relationships. Maybe you don't, but I do. Yeah, and some of it has to do with a lack of empathy for each other, knowing the mind and the heart of the other person that you're talking with. And I'm still learning how to do that better. It's a endless process. Depends on who we're dealing with, but knowing the mind of the other with a question like, "What do you think? I think of you. What do
Hmm.
you think? I think of you." And along with that is, how do you feel about the way I feel when we're together? How do I feel? How do you think I feel when we're together? Or how do you feel I feel when we're together? So it's
Mhm.
feelings and thoughts. That's deep empathy. So I
Yeah.
I I am very
You're
you're
working
like
on
this.
tribe perception, right? The tribe perception from that perception.
I'm looking at tribe perception, looking at the differences and the
Hmm.
similarities,
Yeah.
and finding ways, looking for ways that we can be on our different teams and still work together and still be
Yeah.
Mhm.
part of something
Right.
together and do it our own way. Just like you guys are going to do it your way, I will do it my way. We each have our ways, and people have different ways and different perspectives. That's why I don't argue about what people believe. It's not as important as trying to help change how we all think about what reality is.
Hmm.
So
And and are you saying to change when you're saying to change how people are perceiving reality, then it comes down to then because everyone's going to have a different perception of reality. So wouldn't it be more conducive to learn how to accept each individual's perception of reality? Because it's going to be different for everyone based on their circumstances, their life, their history, their culture.
you're Ross, you're just illustrating a fundamental reality on this earth. It's not either or.
Hmm.
It's both.
Right.
It's recognizing the differences and
Hmm.
respecting them, so
Right.
important, and not trying to get other people to think the way I think,
Right.
but hopefully have us be able to find what's similar. So
Yeah.
it's not polarity. This is a polarized reality that we
Yeah.
live in. It's not just
Agreed.
political,
I
it's night
agree.
and day, black and white. And the
Hmm.
continuum, again, the bell-shaped curve, the someplace in between the extremes is what I'm foreseeing as a guiding instrument, a guiding concept, which is best said with the yin yang symbol, that
Mhm.
we
Hmm.
have opposites that are contained within one whole, and each opposite contains the other, is
Yeah.
a very, that's a simple way of saying the kind of reality that I hope we envision, that where we all know that, but we tend to think in this and that category. No, no, yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's
Correct.
it's what we
both.
call, Bernie, it's what we call, teach our students, it's what we call infinity thinking, right? So infinity thinking is, and the example is the glass of water model, right? So if I give if I'm on stage and I'm with an audience and I have a glass of water there, and I hold it up and I say, is the glass half full or half empty? Some of the room is going to say, hey, it's half empty. Another is going to say it's half full. And then we say, well, no, it's not. It's full and overflowing all the time, just two different substances.
That's a good one.
Right, and depending on your need in any given moment, you will give meaning to whether it's more important for it to be half empty or half full. So for example, if I'm drowning, then half full of air is more important than half full of water, so I'm going to look at that. If I'm dying of thirst in the desert, then half full of water is, but both are always existing and overflowing.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
Mhm. So let's talk a little bit about your, because we haven't talked really much about your new book. So let's and we've gone the full hour. So it's
Exactly.
so
And the
That's why
that you
hey,
have.
I'm here to talk about my book.
let's
That's
talk
what
a
I'm
little bit
doing.
about that and the journey that you share in the book. You started to talk about it initially, but tell us a little bit more about the doctor's journey of coincidence and serendipity, and
Yeah.
why the audience would relate with it and what they can take from it.
But
Uh,
before you answer that though, I want to emphasize the fact that every conversation that we've had with you, um, which all pertain to what's in the book to some degree, this conversation that we've had is what all of your work is about, which is expanding your thinking, expanding your mind, expanding the possibilities that everybody has thinks that they're limited to. So anyhow, I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, so tell us about some of the experiences that have been so profound for you. That
Russ, that's right. That's the wonderful way of saying what I'm trying to do in all three coincidence books that now I've had the pleasure of speaking with you about each one. It's all about not the synchronicities themselves, but expanding our consciousness, by which I mean expanding our ability to be aware of things that we are constricted from paying attention to. Fundamentally, is that our minds are deeply connected to our environments. That's we're embedded. We
Mhm.
are not just separate. We are separate. We are self. We are individual. But we are also glass half empty, half full. Sometimes it's better just to be myself. Sometimes it's better to just blend into with everything around me. And sometimes it's great to go back and forth, which is what dance tends to be for me. So
Mm.
it's about it's about knowing we are connected with each other and connected with nature, with Gaia. We're natural beings. We are born out of nature, and let's respect our mother. Let's respect
Mhm.
our mother. A lot of us
Mhm.
have trouble with that. I've had for a long time. I've gotten back around to that. And the mother that we all have as humanity is the earth. So what I'm trying to do is expand our connection to our environment. And people can do that by reading my stories. Each story has a principle and a doctor's note about that story. So it's not just stories, it's about what you can learn from them And at the end, there's a list in the appendix, a list of principles that synchronicity can teach us so that
Sweet.
you can apply them in your own life.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful. So, what was the most profound synchronicity that you had that started you on this path?
Um, it's getting hard to say because I get asked that question sometimes, because I continue with it. Um, I got started in this because of my dog when I was 8 or 9, and later because of my father when I was 31. Um, and br briefly with my dog, he was my best friend. I didn't know dogs weren't people. He just didn't talk. Uh, but he was a lot of fun to hang around with, and he was the only person I knew back then who would listen to me. He'd sit there sometimes, and I just remember an image of him sitting on a little rock next to me, looking at me as I'm yapping away, about 11 or 12 years old. And when I came home one day, my mother was standing in the front door and said I was 8 or 9, and Snapper wasn't there. That's his name, Snapper. And she said, "Why don't you go to the police office or police station? Maybe they know." And that's a crazy thing for her to say, and I still like to wonder why she said that. Well, I got lost coming back from the police station because they didn't know where my dog was, and I took the wrong way home, or a different, or actually the wrong way home, kind of. Um, and I look up, and there's Snapper coming walking toward me. And I was so happy to see him. And that experience, which I still feel, and I still feel it through my younger son's dog, Walter, my grand dog, Walter. Walter was a is a rock cocker spaniel. My Snapper was mostly cocker spaniel, I think. So I get to keep living with Snapper through my grand dog. He's so important to me, and I'm just a grown-up boy anyway. So that's where that's where it started.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
So you turned left when you should have, when
I turned right instead of left. That's right. Because
yeah.
I was crying. I was crying so much. And again, it's that pause in between where you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's again, it happened because I was paused by my tears
Hmm.
and
Mm.
was able to, I'll say, feel intuitively through what I call internal GPS. Internal
Hmm.
GPS. I could
Hmm.
find him, but he was looking for me too. I mean, when he jumped up on my bike, on my leg, if he could have talked, which I thought he kind of did, I thought he'd be happier to see me than he was. He he pretty much seemed to say by his body movement, "What took you so long?"
Mm. That's
The only thing
interesting.
mine say to me is, "You got any food?"
Well, that's what Walter does a lot of. But he needed me to get back to the food. That's the thing.
Mhm.
That's a good story. That's a
Yeah, that's
great
awesome.
story. I love it.